All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're talking about the Seattle Seahawks in tonight's video. Now, obviously, I do want to talk about Byron Murphy specifically. I want to talk about your defense absolutely dominating your preseason opener, but it's just preseason. Like, the outcomes don't matter. Nobody's game planning anything, but I did see a lot in your first preseason game, specifically on the defensive side of things, because the majority of the starters did not play, that I do want to discuss. But before we get into that, if you guys have been watching this channel for the last couple of years, you know I'm a Seahawks enthusiast. I think Geno Smith is legit. I think this defense is about to be extremely legit. And, I hate to rag on the Seahawks, but I just genuinely think the last season specifically came down to coaching. And I just don't think that the coaching staff, whether that was Pete Carroll, whether that was your OC or your DC or whatever, I just, I don't think guys like Shane Waldron really extracted enough of what you have on your roster. And I know the offensive line specifically was a huge issue last season, and it's a huge point of emphasis for this upcoming season. But the way I see it, with this new defense, with Mike McDonald, your new head coach, paired up with a more efficient, a more effective offense, with a Ryan Grubb, an offensive coordinator that just kind of knows what he's doing. Not necessarily a shade at Shane Waldron, because I actually think he'll be pretty good on the Chicago Bears, but change needed to come. And the offensive line, even though it's not the best on paper offensive line, I view that as like a really good example for why the coaching just wasn't it. And I genuinely think, we'll talk about all this. But before we do, if you guys enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content, along with at least one Seahawks video a week. Folks, if we try to get this video to 250 likes, that would mean the absolute world to me. I want to start ramping up these Seahawks videos because, I view Geno Smith as very solid. Extremely solid. One of the coolest stories in the National Football League as far as, comeback player of the year a couple of years ago, 30 touchdowns, a couple of Pro Bowls the last couple of seasons. Geno has an amazing freaking story. And so when I heard Ryan Grubb, your new offense coordinator, he's enamored by Geno Smith. And folks, it just has me licking my freaking chops for you guys because, I really think San Francisco I think they hit their peak this past season. And everyone is saying, or at least, the insiders and the reporters that I'm seeing, a lot of people are like, trying to be a little bit different. And a lot of people are saying the Rams are going to win the NFC North. And I just want to say, hold your boat, because there's a team named the Seattle Seahawks that are a lot better than people think. And I want to give a quick excerpt. We're going to be doing this for most of my NFL videos for the next week or so. Bleacher reports, so obviously take it with a couple of grains of salt, did a predicting every NFL team's record. And I just want to give you the excerpt for the Seahawks before we get into the meat and potatoes of this video. So their prediction was the Seahawks going 8-9. Here's the logic. The Seahawks are the wild card NFC West squad. They hired first-time head coach Mike McDonald, who fielded the #1 scoring defense as the Baltimore Ravens coordinator last season. With multiple Pro Bowl defensive backs on the roster, he's going to turn Seattle's defense into a top 10 unit. Nonetheless, Geno Smith's play will make or break this team. He saw a drop-off in his passing efficiency between 2022 and 2023. Oh my God, I apologize so much. I just coughed. I just choked on this in here. Anyways, Smith may be under pressure with a new coaching staff. Sam Howell could start some games in 2024. Give me a freaking break. That last sentence pissed me off so much. And once again, I don't have anything on the reporter who talked about this, or pretty much every single person who's ever talked about the Seattle Seahawks all summer. People know they have a good roster, but they kind of want to wait and see. Everyone's concerned about the future quarterback situation in Seattle. And I'm thinking to myself, Geno had a lack of production and a lack of efficiency due to the offensive line and due to just the offensive coaching in general. And I hate to place it on one person because, obviously that's not fair. But folks, I promise you, if you watched the Seahawks last season, and I know there's a bunch of Seahawks fans watching this video, Geno Smith's season last year statistically, first off, wasn't even that bad. 20 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Obviously, 20 touchdowns throw-ins, probably not going to get the job done to, put you in a playoff spot. This dude had no time. I just don't think the offensive line was just consistent in any way, shape, or form for Geno Smith to have enough time. If you go back and you watch the film, even if you're watching like Seahawks highlights from last season, it feels like every other play, Geno Smith is scrambling for his life. So that's why you picked up Connor Williams as your new starting center. But folks, you're in joint practices with the Tennessee Titans right now. All right. And these are just some headlines I've grabbed from the last 2 days that's just going to get you really amped up. Titans coach Brian Callahan showed some love to DK and JSN after practice today when talking about his cornerbacks. DK is as good a receiver as there is in football. I think JSN is probably one of the better slots as a young player. So we go back to last season real quick. Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, Kenneth Walker, can't forget about Kenneth Walker, and the running back struggled because of the offensive line play. And then you have JSN, and JSN kind of just flew under the radar because the Seahawks, kind of under exceeded expectations, or, they just didn't make the playoffs, right? They did a great job, all things considered, but they weren't a playoff team. And at the end of the day, not trying to rag on Seattle because I think it's an amazing city. But as far as national media, they're going to stick to the Chiefs, they're going to stick to the Jets for some reason. They're going to stick to the big market. So JSN had one of the more under-recognized, underrated rookie seasons as a receiver, but also just as a rookie in general. And then obviously you have Devin Witherspoon, who did a phenomenal job. But let's just keep going through these headlines. Reek Woolen had Ridley in lockdown during joint practice. And then we got a tweet here from Greg Bell. Today, yes, the Seahawks defensive backs versus the Titans in Nashville was Legion of Boom-like. Devin Witherspoon would have made Richard Sherman proud today, elite level smack talking. And I think this is just a really good representation of, folks, I'm just going to run through your starting lineup on paper right here because this defensive line and the defensive back room is extremely talented and it's littered with young players. It actually might be one of the deepest defensive line groups in the NFL. Jerron Reed, Jonathan Hankins, Leonard Williams, and Jermon Jones. And then your backups are Byron Murphy, future superstar, Cameron Young on the PUP list, Mike Morris, and Boye Mafe. It's a really good defensive line. And I get that there's some question marks at the linebacker position, getting rid of Bobby Wagner, getting rid of course, his name's not coming to my head. He's over in Miami right now. But you revamped it with Jerome Baker, Tyrell Dodson, Uchenna Nwosu. He's healthy. Nwosu's healthy, folks. And then your defensive back room is Trey Brown, who I don't care what his statistics are. I don't care if he gave up touchdowns or catches or whatever it is. When you watch Trey Brown play, he makes plays. He just straight up makes plays. Then you picked up Rashawn Jenkins from the Jacksonville Jaguars. You have Julian Love coming off a great season. Reek Woolen, Devin Witherspoon gets a little bit deeper, but we'll save that for another day. My point just is we ran out of a bunch of time. I actually wanted to talk about preseason, but my point is, as the Bleacher Report guy said, the Seahawks are about to become a top 10 defensive unit. And if this offense can hover around top 10 to top 15, there's no reason to me the Seattle Seahawks won't win at least 9 football games. And if they can, come up big against the Rams, come up big against the 49ers and the Cardinals, I don't see a reason why the Seattle Seahawks shouldn't make the playoffs this upcoming season. So let me know what you guys are thinking. Hit that like button, hit that sub button as always. But most importantly, guys, give me a win-loss prediction for the Seattle Seahawks down below. Peace.